I'm Scott Vanderplu, and this is the AE Index Podcast, episode 110.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fast.
Thank you for joining me for my monthly adventure into all things AE as they appear at aeindex.org. I'm a day late and $1 short because the awards, the 2025 AE Index Dunbier Awards, the winners had to be done yesterday. As well, it was Sunday, so I had things going on, and then other things going on, and everything just sort of snowballed. And I had hidden the results, and I had to figure out how to unhide the results and get those posted, and then see the things, and then get this and that done. Anyways, it's just a litany of excuses on my part. But the award winners were put up last night, and that means that the podcast was delayed until this morning. So normally it's the first of the month. Now it's the morning of the second. So apologies there. All right, big news this month. First of all, I didn't realize I had 5 Saturdays and 5 reviews. That's too many reviews for 1 month. I can see why I felt overwhelmed. Let's talk winners. So thankfully, we have a pattern. If you go to aeindex.org/Dunbier-awards, it's in the menu. You'll see that basically one book takes every category pretty much every year. There are some years when that doesn't happen, but it's pretty consistent. So I was really happy to see that one book did not take every category this year. Much to the chagrin, I'm sure, Scott Dunbier and all the fans of Neal Adams DC Classics Artist Edition. But let's go over the winners. Everything is viewed online. You can check out. All right, so we'll go by category. So, and I think I've mentioned this before, but when I put the categories up on for voting, the first category gets the most votes and so on, and then down to the last category gets the least votes. People seem to get tired of scrolling and picking things. But I added the best foreign material and best AE adjacent material at the bottom, and they got a good number of votes, so I was happy to see that. So people actually went through and read the whole page and then made their votes. All right, let's do 2025 Dunbier Awards, Best Overall. I got to come up with a better title for that. The winner with 51% of the votes, Neal Adams DC Classics Artist Edition. Following up after that, what's next drops down to 16%, and that's Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition. 15% Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition. Coming in last place with 4 votes, David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo. As I go through these, I will tell you what I voted for. I didn't vote, but what I would have voted for. I feel like if I vote, it's my awards. It doesn't feel right to vote. I think creators and everybody should vote. That's all perfectly fine and open, but I'm administering these things. I'm making the awards. I don't feel it's right to vote. But I can tell you who I would have voted for. And my pick for 2025 Best Overall was, in fact, David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo. Because the criteria is overall best work in its design, presentation, material, and quality. Well, I feel like David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo excelled in those things. What it doesn't excel in is cost per page. But that's not one of my criteria. And I like to be a little ornery and go against the grain, but all right. That had 171 votes in that category, which I get more visitors per day to the website than that. So I struggle with why I don't have more votes. I really don't understand it. It was at the top of my site for an entire month. And even if people thought, well, I only bought this book, I'm only going to vote for this book. 88 people voted for Neal Adams DC Classics. Surely way more people bought the book and visit my site. I say this every year. I don't know what to do about that. I've sent out press releases again and got no responses. So, all right. Best design. Which AE format book of 2025 had the best overall design, including its use of color, images, and text? The winner, with 33% of the votes, and 50 votes, Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition, designed by Ian Chagrin. So congratulations, Ian. Great job there. The next book with 33% of the votes, but 49 votes, Neil Adams DC Classics Artist Edition. So Neil Adams needed 2 more votes to get a win there, or 1 vote to get a tie. Isn't that crazy? But they did not win. After that, we've got all the way down to 12%, Jim Aparo's DC Classics Artist Edition, 11%, Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men. Coming in last with 3 votes, David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo. My pick for this category was Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition, so I actually picked a winner. I'm shocked. All right, Best Publisher. It's easy to think of a publisher's collected work, but please only vote based on books published in 2025. And then even with this, Scott Dunbier had to provide a personal plea, Don't just vote for Act 4 Publishing because it's my company and I only put 1 out book this year. Look at the overall year. So which publisher or imprint in 2025 best represented the AE format with their commitment to quality, maintaining and meeting their publishing schedule, and promoting their material in the AE format? IDW, 50% of the votes won with that. Also, again, Scott Dunbier produced Neil Adams' DC Classics Artist Edition for IDW, and also Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition for IDW. So we've got 3 books by Dunbier. Right, so there you go. Coming up, close second, 39% of the votes, Act 4 Publishing. Then we get, at the bottom, Slingsby Bros. Inc., 1%, 1 vote. Best Publishing in this category for this year. Who did I pick for Best Publisher? Wow, that's a great question. I think I picked 2000 AD Rebellion. Again, I'm ornery here. I felt their commitment to schedule was the best. And promoting their material. They have a newsletter, they have a website. How they don't promote the material is they will not send me any review copies. And I actually have stopped responding to my emails, so that's a bit disappointing. Rebellion. All right. Favorite material. Which AE format book of 2025? Do you see how I keep asking of the year in these categories? And I really wish people, just focus on the year. Which AE format book of 2025 was your favorite material? Story, character, and artist. Now, this is wide open, right? This is completely personal opinion. So 42% of the vote, Neil Adams DC Classics Artist Edition. This should have the most votes because it does not require owning the book. It's just how you feel. But it did not have the most votes. Coming in second, Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition with 25% of the votes. 14% for Conan. All the way down to 1% for David Wright's Carol Day. I voted for Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men here in this. Again, I didn't actually physically vote in the awards, but that's what my vote would go for. I love Paul Smith. I love that period. Just amazing stuff. Purchases. Please check every AE format book you purchased in 2025. So 147 people checked off what they purchased. Now, to put that in perspective, that's the lowest number of votes. So people selected best overall, but then didn't vote on what they bought, which is fine. Maybe they bought nothing. That's okay. You can still vote. Most purchased book of 2025, Neil Adams DC Classics Artist Edition, 112 votes, 25% of the vote. 27%, apologies. Second place, Conan the Barbarian with 79 votes. Third place, Paul Smith's The Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition. Fourth, DC Covers. Button Man, and then David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo. 7 people voted that they bought for David Wright's Carol Day, Cousin Hugo. I think they have a print run of, what was the print run on that book? 150 or 175? Let's have a look. And then, of course, purchases were available on the website because that's the only way it fell into my awards. Isn't that the way? I can't quite. I think it's 175. Okay. All right. Then we get to new exciting new categories. Best foreign material. A curated list of 2025 foreign AE format books. Which of these was the overall best work in its design, presentation of material, and quality? Runaway winner here. Raven Integral Version Classique by Edition Black and White, edited by Raphael Wacker. Congratulations. 51% of the votes. 27% went to Blacksad, Les Crayons. And then 15% Le Strumpfissime Dupuis Artiste Edition. And 1 vote was La Ribambelle en Écosse. Harsh. All right, then we had another new category, Best AE Adjacent Material. Which AE Adjacent book in 2025 was the best, overall best work in its design, presentation, material, and quality? I've got a theme going there. I'm using a catchphrase. So AE Adjacent, maybe I should have specified what an AE Adjacent book is. That's a book that features, I did say higher up. Okay. That features scans original art at a reduced size or format. There's no language restriction in this category, but they just happen to be all English. So the winner of this with 27% of the votes was Batman First Night Artist Edition by Panini Germany. Anybody who bought the book bought it through Mike Perkins, because Panini Germany won't ship outside of Germany, which is super annoying. They still have these in stock, by the way, if you know somebody in Germany who can buy it for you and then ship it to you. Second place with 24% of the votes, Hal Foster's Prince Valiant Sketchbooks and Illustrated Memoir, Volume 1. Third place, Comics 1964 to 2024. All the way down to 1 vote, Don Lawrence, an Original Art Exhibit Catalog. Oh, you know what I didn't say? Didn't say who I voted for, or would have voted for. Best foreign material, I thought, yes, I'm with Raven Integral. It's so exemplified everything you could do in a book that it just blew my mind. It was amazing. And for this, the best AE adjacent material, I would go with Hal Foster's Prince Valiant. I love Hal Foster. It's great to see his pencils, his roughs like that. I don't know, close second, I'd probably go with David Wright's Carol Day Showcase. Just amazing material. All right. That is the awards for 2025 wrapped up. So we got all 2026 to look forward to, see what comes out here. I don't think there's going to be any changes to the categories for 2026. I'm really happy with best foreign material and best AE adjacent material. I like those categories a lot. Unfortunately, they're curated lists. I can't really buy and review everything. So that's just the way it goes. There's been discussion and many suggestions to add a category, best crowdfunded. And I'm really, really hesitant to do that, because then it's a curated list again. How do I know what crowdfunded? Also, I'm finding crowdfunded books to be incredibly expensive for me in Canada. I'm paying whatever the fee is, and then shipping is becoming very expensive. It wasn't the case before, but I'd say the last 2 years, shipping from the US to Canada is doubled. I mean, even USPS, which used to be the cheapest way, just is Canada's, $55, $60 US to ship an AE format book from the US to Canada. That's a lot of money. I can actually ship from Canada to the US for half that. So I don't understand where that's coming from. It seems crazy. I'll give it some thought. I've got a year to think about it. What's more pressing is the physical awards for the AE Dunbeers. I don't know if anybody knows this, probably not, but I don't have a physical award. I've been working on one. I don't know exactly what to do. How do I? So it's just been a virtual sort of, here you go, you've won this thing. So that's not very exciting. A physical award is the way to go. What I really want to do is have a 3D model of a scanner on the top of an award. So picture the classic award, like the Eisners, which is like a column with a wider base so that you can have and then they've got the E there, or the globe. I think it's a globe. And then you've got the Ignatz Awards, same kind of thing. So I was thinking, it would be cool, like a scanner, like on an angle, because that really represents the AE format, right? It's just scans original art. But I'm having some trouble with that. Then the information, the winning information would be on the front of the column. So other than that, I'm thinking going with a plaque. with Dave Stevens' Rocketeer artwork on that. I've got permission to do that. And I was struggling with, do I put penciled art on the plaque of the Rocketeer? Like there's that classic image of Rocketeer and Betty. And there's original art for it in pencil and inked. So I was thinking like go half, like on an angle, go half pencil and then half inked just to represent both. And then work in the Dunbier Awards on the plaque and then the winner's name. So it'd be more, but then is it, do I like a bronzy color, or I like that cream sort of original artwork paper color. And then somebody, I had reached out to some companies and they had said they could also do they could do that on a plaque, and then they could do a 3D model in front. So I thought, that'd be cool if I had the plaque, Dunbier Awards, the winner's name, the Rocketeer artwork there, and then just a 3D model of my logo, the AE, like just slightly in front of the thing, so it would stand. It'd be a standing award then, right? So it's like a plaque, but it stands, and then the 3D model, sort of bottom left, or I guess bottom right would be more apropos, since that's where my watermark appears and everything. So that's what I'm working on right now. Anyways. All right, that was a lot of preamble. Sorry. All right, shipping changes. Not a lot of shipping changes. Shipping concerns is what I have more this month. Rob Liefeld Youngblood Vault Edition, currently scheduled through Lunar, because it's Image, to be released on February 11th. That date has not changed. I haven't seen any updates to that. But the concern is Simon & Schuster is still listing the book release as May 26th. That date has not changed. So seeing that date not changed makes me wonder what's going on with the Youngblood Vault Edition. Because Image now has this where it's 4 weeks. Is it 3 or 4 weeks? It's 3 to 4 weeks. Being released to the book market after the comic market. Well, my comic store, we order from Simon & Schuster and we order from Penguin Random House because it's free shipping and our discount is a set discount and we're charged in Canadian. These are important things. If I order from Lunar, first of all, the shipping is crazy. I'm paying about 18% of the cost of the items in shipping because it's coming from Midwest US, crossing the border, blah, blah, blah. Way too expensive. So then I can get it from Universal in Canada, which is my better bet. But the discount and free shipping and charging Canadian are all winning things. So that's why we get these books from book distributors. So I'm actually concerned that Youngblood Vault Edition is coming out February 11th from Lunar and vis-a-vis Universal, and then May for the book market. So that means this will be a forgotten book in my mind by the time I actually get a copy to review. So unless I can get Image to send me review copies, that'd be great. I should probably start working on that. All right. No shipping changes otherwise. All right. We got solicitations. Let's get into that. A lot of solicitations this month, actually. Good stuff. So first up, we had Dupuis. Dupuis, first of the month, they put their things up for several months away. So we got a new Dupuis book, Johann et Puis-Louis, Dupuis Artiste Edition, Les Lutins du Bois aux Roches. So that is The Goblin of the Rocky Woods. Let me give you the blurb. In retrospect, Peyo considered The Goblin of the Rocky Woods to be the true launch of his career. How can one disagree when observing his graphic progression as well as the dynamism and vitality, what a great word, dynamism, that now characterize his panels. But above all, Peyo added to Johann this sidekick who would quickly come to embody the soul of the series. Puis-Louis is not only the main character of The Goblin of the Rocky Woods, but also its hero. He is at the heart of the first third of the story. He takes the reins of the action when Johann is imprisoned. It reveals the deception of the king and its shrewdness, and it is his shrewdness that exposes the two traitors. It is he again who frees Johann and allows the royal troops to storm the castle. It's interesting in the French perspective of, a solicitation, talking about basically the story. They don't really care what the format looks like. All right, this book is being released by Dupuis in March 27th, 2026. It's 17 and a half by 22 inches. It's 80 pages of hardcover. It's 229 euros. Available for order through Amazon. I have been trying to contact Champaka Brussels. They're the imprint that puts together these books and the Un Violon Dessin books For Dupuis, I cannot get a hold of them. I would so love to speak to anybody about how they're making these choices, how they put these books together, just the whole French side of how an artist edition is put together like this, with this classic material. I'm a bit disappointed we got another Peyo book. Surely there's more content out there than we just keep going back to the same well. Maybe there isn't, though. I don't know. That's another thing I'd love to talk to them about. All right, next solicitation. This one's interesting. Penguin Random House, January 2026 solicitations. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Artist Edition. The blurb. Every page of this groundbreaking indie sensation comic series scanned from Patrick Horvath's original paintings and presented like never before in one magnificent collection. This glorious collection features every single page in the first series and the 10-page short story Paludium, all presented for the very first time exactly as Horvath painted them. Full size, no digital adjustments. Experience the full force of the art that became this decade's biggest comic sensation. Also included are 4 clear overlay pages that showcase patch panels, enabling you to see the original art and the final art as it was published. So some nice techniques here being utilized by IDW. And this is being released July 28th, 2026. It's 12 by 17, 168 pages, it's 150 US. Available from the usual suspects. I was fully expecting to see this in the January 2026 catalog for books for March or April, but that didn't happen. So is it going to be the February or March catalog where they just want to put in a catalog 3 months before, or 2 months before it's released? Feels a bit risky. Also, I'll have to do a little bit of work on this and see who the editor is and see if I can get some more information on this book. All right. Next, Lunar, February 2026 catalog. Charlie's War by Joe Colquhoun, Apex Edition. Colquhoun? Yeah, I'm going to mess that up. Charlie's War began serialization in Battle in 1979, and as written by Pat Mills, it is one of the greatest strips in the history of British comics, a serious look at how the First World War affected Britain's working class. Complementing the story was the artwork of Joe Colquhoun, fresh off the immensely popular Johnny Red. Colquhoun pushed himself even further, detailing the wartime travails of Charlie Bourne, producing stunning artwork each and every week. This book collects pages from the very first few years of the series, including many complete episodes, printed at the original size so you can appreciate Joe Colquhoun's mastery of the art form. This is being put out by 1000 AD Rebellion, April 29th, 2026. It's 144 pages. Hardcover. It's 14 and a third by 18 and 2/3, 140 US. It's also put out under the Treasury of British Comics label, so that's I have been enjoying those. Some catalog pages up on the site as well. This is interesting. It's looking good. I'm hoping I can get that from somewhere other than Lunar, so I don't have to pay ridiculous shipping. Okay. Next, AE format out of print sales. So Q4 2025. I stopped doing the monthly sales numbers. I guess it was June of 2025, and then I did the third quarter and fourth quarter. So this is the fourth quarter sales. The numbers weren't there enough to focus and do this every month. It felt like a lot of work. And as I did this over a period of several hours, it is a fair amount of work. And also the numbers just don't really reflect the effort monthly. I'm really happy to provide the numbers quarterly, and it gets me to see a bit more of a snapshot of what's happening. All right, let's just you can look at all the things online. Let's hit record breakers first, because that's always fun. Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four Artist Edition, new record, $5.99 US for one copy on December 22nd, 2025. And another record, $900 for Usagi Jimbo, the Artist and Other Stories Gallery Edition on November 15th. $900. That's a lot. Wow. Low prices. Alex Toth's Bravo for Adventure Artist Edition. First printing went for $27. Second printing went for $64.99. That's not even half of the cover price. Alien Illustrated Story continues to maintain good pricing. $249.70 average for 3 sales. Batman The Dark Knight Returns. It looks like the days of clearance prices of that is over. 6 sales, $141.66 average. Still pretty good. Bernie Wrightson Artifact Edition. First print, $250. That's maintaining some higher pricing there. Dave Gibbons Watchmen Artifact Edition, 4 copies, an average of 156. First printing, The Rocketeer went for 200. We haven't seen that number in a while. Not with first printings, 2 second printings, and a 40th and an anniversary edition. Right, the 40th, I think. 3 copies of ElfQuest Gallery Edition, 124.98 average. 2 copies of Fantagraphics 2 Edition Black Hole, averaging 378. 1 copy of Fantagraphics 2 Edition Jaime Hernandez, 350. Those are, they just sort of sat there nowhere, and then in 2025, the sales numbers really taken off. Gene Colan's Tomb of Dracula, 3 sales, averaging 375. Big number there. Jack Kirby Commandy, The Last Boy on Earth, Volume 2. 5 copies, averaging 75.79. I don't know what happened there. Jack Kirby's Fantastic Forest Edition, 3 copies, averaging 292.15 because of that record. World's Greatest Fantastic Four, no sales. What is going on? That's the Superior book, people. Jack Kirby's The Mighty Thor, 1 sale, 215. Jim Starlin's Marvel Cosmic Artifact Edition, 3 sales, averaging 139.34. What else? John Byrne's Marvel Classics, 4 sales, averaging 144. 1 copy of John Byrne's X-Men Artifact Edition, $70. Because they did do the reprint as X-Men Artist Edition, right? So, which I'm not tracking because it's still readily available. John Paul Leon's The Winter Men, 1 copy, $249.99. Is crowdfunding. Oh, I've got to add Extremity on here. I really do. Next time. Mad Artist Edition, 6 copies, averaging 161.47. That's down, and it's staying down. Where's the love for Mad people? Mark Schultz's Xenozoic Tales, 1 copy, $219. That's a little down from what we've been seeing for a while now. 4 copies, Mike Mignola's Hellboy and Hell and Other Stories Artist Edition, first printing, $240.25 average. 3 copies of Sergio Aragona's Gru the Wanderer, averaging $293. That's gone up quite a bit too. What else interesting? Usagi, we talked about that, $900. Yowzers. Will Eisner's A Contract with God, Curators, no sales. That was a hot book for a while. And then lots more things. Pop on the website, have a look. That's the way to go. All right, we're just about to get to the reviews. Whew, I need to have a drink at this point. My throat's going to dry out with these 5 reviews to talk about this month. You could, supporting the site is always welcome. Greatly appreciated. If you know somebody, or if you're in a sales position where you could be a sponsor to the site, if you work for a company or own a company that sells comics online, I would greatly appreciate some sponsors for North America. I've got a wonderful sponsor with Walt's Comic Shop for Europe, doing a great job. And I've got my Amazon affiliate links and my Forbidden Planet affiliate links, but really nobody doing affiliates for North Americans, so I'm missing out on that market. Would love to get that. So way to support the site, absolutely. Use these links I provide on the website. Click through there. I get either you're supporting an advertiser I have, like Walt's Comic Shop, or I'm getting a percentage of the sale, like Amazon or Forbidden Planet. Another way to support the site is through Patreon. I don't do a lot of exclusives for Patreon. Patreon really is a way to say, hey, thanks, I like what you're doing with the site. If I do have something, I don't get a lot of scoops. And if I get a scoop or I get information that is juicy and wonderful, it's generally from an editor or a publisher or someone that says, hey, don't say anything. So then I don't say anything. So I'm in the know, but I can't share what I know. Third way to support the site is to buy something off my store. It's I know my store is getting thin. That's actually the goal, is to thin this stuff out. I've lowered prices again. Want to sell some of these things. I've got a book I'm selling soon, but otherwise I still have copies of things. If you want to make a deal, I would gladly bundle some books up and give you a better discount. And of course, you can also, I've got a PayPal button where you can give me something every month for PayPal. So there you go. That's to support the site. Buying from my store, affiliate links, those are really the ways I would greatly appreciate. All right, 5 reviews this month. Let's get to it. First review, Jim Apparo's DC Classics Artist Edition. Do I do the blurb every time? I'm already at 30 minutes on this podcast. All right. Jim Aparo was one of DC's most prolific artists through the 1970s and 80s, especially celebrated for his work on Batman and the Spectre. All right. This artist edition of Jim Aparo's work is an art book disguised as a comic collection. I'm going to skip that. All right. It came out December 17th, 2025. I didn't get my copy till late in December, so that's why my review went up January 1st. This book is 12 inches by 17 inches. It's 216 pages, and hardcover is $150 US. I did do a video review of this, but I took it down and actually made me rethink video reviews. I know I've talked about it on this podcast repeatedly about doing video reviews, and I need to figure out what I want from a video review. Realistically, I don't really want anything from a video review. It appears those who look at things on YouTube, on my stuff, are not people who go to my website. So every review that I do a flip through for, I say, read the full review at A-Index. I provide a link, and I'm not sure who goes through the link. So really two disparate markets. So do I put up I may do videos again where it's just, here's 4 things I like and 1 thing I didn't like, and just keep it to 10 minutes and do that. All right. This book is chock-a-block full of original art. Just wonderful pages after pages of Jim Aparo artwork. I am not a big Jim Aparo fan. I think I've said that before. Jim Aparo is actually the reason I didn't buy Batman when I started collecting comics. I just didn't like the look. You know how it is. You like one thing, you don't like something else. That's the beauty of comics, personal opinion and personal preference. So many things on the stand, you can get what you like. Also, wonderful amount of complete stories here, which is amazing to see. What is the purpose of reading an artist edition like this? That's silly. People say you could just read it in any other format. And the reason I actually like to read the books in this way is that I'm looking at the panel, I'm reading the panel. It's large size. I'm lingering over the art. I really feel like I'm able to take in the artwork and take in the overall presentation of the page better when I'm stopping and reading. When I'm stopping and looking, my eyes are scanning, right? You're taking it in if there's no words or if there's just random pages. And then I find there's another page to go to, and then I just flip the page. I don't spend as much time on each page as I could. When I'm reading it, I'm stopping, I'm looking at things. That's why I like to read the artist editions. So we have 10 complete stories, 34 covers, 17 additional interior pages. It's a lot of stuff here. And as always, you get an artist edition, and maybe it wasn't your biggest fan, you weren't crazy about it, or maybe there's probably not too many people who just buy artist editions of artists they already don't really care for the work of. But I still try to get everyone and review them. And that is why I picked this book up. And then, it's this fabulous cross-hatching. There is wonderful hand, the way Aparo draws hands and gestures and, just the movements of the body is really wonderful. I guess what I really don't like is just his facial expressions, but that's just me. I really enjoyed the Spectre stuff. It just felt more dynamic to me. The material as well, I guess, just appealed. Some zipatone there. Again, tons of great cross-hatching. Just a really nice presentation of art. As well, we're treated to something that we don't get a lot in artist editions, and that is work by pencils by other artists. Where we had pencils by Frank Thorne in a Spectre story, which I loved, and we have pencils by Ernie Chan for another story. So a Spectre story. So those to me, those really popped. I enjoyed those a lot. And again, for me, original artwork is really it's all about the shadows. It's about those deep, rich inks, and Aparo really pays off there in the stories, especially the Batman stories as well. Just great stuff. And then we get to this is just a very large selection of covers, just a whole lot of covers and other pages. So great presentation overall. Have a look. Then we get to another book that someone else had mentioned on the forums, and I thought, oh, what's that? Again, I'm not going to give you the full blurb because it's too much. So this is Les Tournottes, 1969. Again, I'm not going to try and say that in French. And this is by Editions Rackham. And this is a 10.8 by 14.5 hardcover book, 64 pages. It's 35 euros. I got mine from Amazon Canada. Let me give you the blurb. This edition was created using the original artwork held at the Angoulême International Comics Museum or made available by collectors. The pages were digitized in full color and large format, showcasing the extraordinary richness of Breccia's work, his formal innovations, and his experimentation. The artwork underwent meticulous digital restoration, which, after 57 years of tumultuous history, has restored them to their original pristine condition. Limited edition of 1,500 copies. So this is AE adjacent. So they scan the original artwork, wonderful, great to see. But then they present it a good presentation, digital, as I said, digital art. It's different. I don't know how else to describe it because we get Breccia was working in a variety of mediums, and we see ink on the page. We really do. You can see it. You can see paste ups. You can see paint applied to the page. You can see other things like that. And it's not always easy to discern that material in a scan of the artwork. I mean, it's like a halfway. So they've scanned the artwork. They've applied the lettering digitally. They've kept it. They've kept cropped the borders, so like you would present a published comic. And it's just a very solid presentation of Breccia's artwork. If you like Breccia, if you just like to see this sort of mixed medium format, I mean, if you're a fan of Bill Sienkiewicz, you should definitely check out Alberto Breccia. Available lots of places online. Actually, let me see if it's still available on Amazon. It is. You can buy this right now for $65.95 Canadian from Amazon Canada. So there you go. Okay. Next book. Spawn Vault Edition 3. I have nothing positive to say about this book. You need to go read my review. The only thing I really can say about this book is I want my $175 back. That's really what I can say. All right, I'll say a little bit more. So here's the blurb. Collects interior art and covers from Spawn 16 to 20, 35 to 37, 39 to 50, presented as raw black and white artwork. The pages collected in this latest installment of Image's Vault series will take fans on a tour of Capullo's original Spawn run and via full-color high-resolution scans of his original interior art pages and covers. Every ink stain, blue pencil mark, and margin note is preserved, offering an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at the minutiae of the creative process. It's the closest fans can get to the originals without busting into the archives and holding the artboards themselves. So I opened the book up. First off, I wasn't paying enough attention. I didn't realize that only 2 stories are complete. The rest are it's more like a collection of pages. And then I opened, every page looks extremely dirty, like it was used to wipe your shoes. And it doesn't make sense. I thought, well, were Capullo or whoever inked, it's a variety of inkers. So we actually, inks on this are Art Thibert, Dan Panosian, Mark Pennington, Todd McFarlane, and Danny Meeke. So I thought, did every one of these inkers have their hands covered in ink? Because most of the pages are just dirty. They're just, it's so odd. And then I get a little further and I'm looking at inks and I'm seeing lines aren't completed. Like you would expect in a second generation possibly printing or third generation. Doesn't look like an original art scan. And then I continue on further and I see these white spaces on the pages. And I'm like, those are paste ups. Why are they so glistening white? They're digitally applied. All right, so corrections and lettering on some pages are applied digitally and some pages are done on the board. And then I think, this something doesn't seem quite right. So then I say, where are these pages missing? Because we've got missing pages. Where are they? So then I do a search for some of these issues, and the first place I go to is CapulloArt.com. It's Greg Capullo's original art store. And I look there, and pages that are missing from this book are for sale on Capullo's site. Like, that's odd. Didn't Image and Todd McFarlane work with Capullo to produce this book? Apparently not, because otherwise they would have had his scans. But he does have some pages that do appear in the book. And when you compare them, there's none of this digital dirtiness. The pages look clean. They look like original artwork. You can see paste ups. You can see correction fluid. You can see things that don't appear in this book. Blue pencils. Gradients. All things that I'm not seeing when I look at the artwork here. And then I found another example of someone else, and it just makes no sense. And then I thought this book was originally solicited a long time ago, then it was pulled down. Then it was put back up. And I'm wondering, somebody put this book together with this, I don't know what these are. Are these photocopies of art? The presentation is so bad. I really can't tell you how this dirt is, because the dirt actually has a pattern if you look at the pages. We had some sleuths on the forum who matched up, the patterns, even just from the limited number of photos I provided. It's unbelievable. Like there's actually one page that's written right on the bottom, stat. Were they using a dirty photocopier? I don't know. There's a pencil section, and you think, oh great, this should be good. And then you look at some of the pencils, and they are not. They look like bad scans of pencils that somebody pulled from a low-res website and then enlarged them and printed them. I can't even tell you how disappointing this book is. And then there's a one-page biography of Greg Capullo, whose artwork is this book featured about, and apparently who wasn't contacted, wasn't involved in the book. That's very disappointing. But then the book closes with a one-page biography of Todd McFarlane. Why does Todd McFarlane have a biography in this book? And then I thought, oh, it's interesting. So Todd's got a quote that I thought was so apropos for this review. He says, "My ability to deliver a good product is my greatest strength." Well, apparently your strength is waning, Todd, because this book is just a dumpster fire. There's no better way to describe it. All right, moving on. Got this. This is exciting. This is Edicao d'Artista, #1, Adventuros do Anjo. So that's the Adventures of the Angel. A reader reached out to me from Brazil and said, hey, we have Brazilian artist editions. I'm like, what? So then he sends me some links, and I'm immediately captivated by this book, The Art of Flavio Collin. It's just classic 1950s artwork, very much reminiscent. It reminds me of a Milk Caniff influence. Pages are gorgeous, just that classic golden age period artwork. And the book is just beautifully well done. They are following the European influence of an AE format book. Let me give you the blurb. Edicao d'Artista is a publication that reproduces in facsimile the original artwork of a comic book, the pencil lines of the drawing, the annotations in the margins, the shades of the ink, brush strokes, the corrections with white ink, the collages, and the marks of time on the paper. Everything is visible, as if you had the original pages in your hands. That is a really great blurb. I love the marks of time on the paper. That is a phrase I got to use somewhere. Therefore, it is an excellent study material for artists or for the simple appreciation of comic book lovers. This is the first artist edition published in Brazil, and is only fitting that the debut features a giant of genuinely Brazilian comics, Flavio Collin. Amazing stuff. This book is 12 by 16 inches. It's 64 pages. It's 150 GSM offset paper. It's a hardcover. This is 112 Brazilian reals. I assume it's not reals. I assume it's reals. And that translated to me to 27 Canadian dollars. I was fortunate enough to find this for sale on Amazon, believe it or not. Amazon Canada. So there was a seller from Brazil. They had one copy. I bought it. It showed up at the house like 2 weeks later. I paid 27 Canadian and 20 shipping. I paid 47 Canadian for this book. 112 Brazilian reals is 21.20 US. Problem is, you can't buy it. The publisher won't ship out of Brazil. I asked him for recommendations on other things, not available. All right, as I speak to you right now in this review, 3 are available on Amazon.com by the shipper Livraria Martins Fontes Paulista, coming right from Brazil, $20 a piece, 19 delivery. Run. Buy a copy for yourself. Please don't hesitate. Get that ordered. This book is stunning. Now, for that money, you say, how can they produce this book? 150 GSM offset paper. Gorgeous presentation. Like I said, the European example. Wonderful write-up essay at the beginning of the book discussing how the material came about. Some talk about the artist. We get into the book. We've got the cover. This was serialized in issues. They only have this one issue. They only have issue 5. It's a complete story, though. Like I said, they got the cover and all the original art was found except for one page. So the one page they do present from that 1958 comic. Looks great, actually. And then the art is just gorgeous. You've got to get a copy of this book. Got to hold it and see. I'm so excited to see this. An A format book from another country doing classic comics. We know classic comics are out there. And for this price range, it's amazing. Everybody needs to own a copy. All right. I'm being a little bit fast on the reviews because there's 5. Last review this month, Judge Dredd by Carlos Ezquerra, Apex Edition. I just did this review 2 days ago on Saturday, last day of the month. Let me give you the blurb quickly. Scanned directly from Carlos Ezquerra's original art and presented oversized. Well, it's not. Well, I guess the oversized compared to a normal book, but the art isn't oversized. It's the size of Carlos Ezquerra's art. Okay, it includes 7 complete stories. Carlos Ezquerra was one of 2000 AD's great pioneers. He co-created Judge Dredd, cementing the look of one of the most enduring characters in the history of comics. This collection presents his work to the reader in its true size, newly scanned for the original artwork, showcasing the work of a master in all its glory. This Apex volume contains 7 complete stories in color from the Judge Dredd annuals when Ezquerra was at the peak of his powers and more Judge Dredd classics, as well as several of those early Strontium Dog pages. It's mine. I believe when I looked at the book that there was also one complete black and white or inked story. So this is published on released on January 28th, 2026. It had quite a few delays. It was originally solicited for November. So there you go. This is the new year there, but that goes against my vote of best publisher, clearly. It's 14.5 by 19 inches, 128 pages. It is available in a variant directly from the 2080 website. There's a slipcase variant with a tip-in page with no signature because Carlos Ezquerra's passed. It's $140 US for this copy. Really great presentation as always from 2080 Rebellion. I keep saying 2080 Rebellion. I don't know. It's in my understanding, it's 2080 because it's their material. They do the work. Rebellion is the publisher, but 2080 is almost an imprint at this point in their stable. Rebellion seems to focus more on the digital, gaming, apparel, that kind of thing. And they are the owner of 2080, but 2080 seems to be focusing on the books. So I believe this is from 2080. That's how I'm going to go from now on. I was very concerned with this book. First off, it's great that the book opens and we've got, the first 2 pages of Judge Dredd art ever. I think that's awesome. And you get to see Carlos Ezquerra's presentation of Dredd. You also get to see his character design, which is awesome. And then it moves into these annuals. So they are colored. I guess they're painted. It's kind of hard to tell. I guess that's, but my concern, as I started to say there, but again, lost my train of thought. I'm back on the tracks. Is that painted artwork doesn't present very well in this format. We lose the nuances of the painted product, it seems. This format works and excels with inked pages, penciled pages, right? They're reproducing the feel of the page and the no gloss and everything that just makes original artwork like that sing. And there we get a painted page. And generally, it loses something, right? It's not quite the same when you compare the two. I think I definitely felt that with a couple books last year. So, But here, I don't know how, maybe it's the way the paint is applied. It's not painted as I'd say, it's more colored. So it looks, I'm not sure if they're using markers or what they were coloring with, but it has a very more raw feel to it. And it seems to present as inked pages present in this format. And they really, really pop. The look is very much as original art and not like so many painted pages do as a scan of the painting that can't be reproduced accurately. A ton of great colored work here. Then we get a ton of great inked work. Like I said, there's one long story called The Executioner. We don't have the complete pages, but we've got a good sampling. We get 3 pages, states 3 pages are not from original art. 1 page is a double page spread, so I really feel like that's 4 pages, but I am absolutely splitting hairs. And just a ton of great stuff. Strontium Dog. I always want to say Strontium Dog. Strontium is not the word that comes to mind when I read the letters, but it is Strontium Dog. Interesting stuff. It's out there. And then just a beautiful hardcover presentation. 2080 Rebellion is a tough sell for the North American market because people are not familiar with it. But at least it's in English, so I think it gets a little more love than the French books that I'm always pushing on people on this website and podcast. If you want to expand your horizons, right, this is a way to do it. These are some amazing artwork, some amazing presentation. Carlos Oscuro is not one of my favorite 2080 artists. That's okay. I feel his style's a little too rough, a little too harsh for my eyes. Just not something that draws me in. Much like Jim Aparo, right? Personal preference. That's just the way it goes. But it's very vibrant, very dynamic, and really presents the artwork presents extremely well in this book. All right, that's it for this month. Woo, did we go long this time? So thanks for hanging in with me. Everything I talked about here, all the reviews, all the sales numbers, all the solicitations, everything is available at aeindex.org. Please don't just take this podcast as a supplement to the website. Always has been, always will be. And for those who have hung in to the bitter end, I appreciate you greatly and realize that I forgot something. So need to get back to that. And that are the Hall of Fame inductees. Apologies to these two. Hall of Fame inductees are completely my prerogative. I mean, most of the website is, but that's why I do the voting. So it's not just me. Hall of Fame inductees. This is the 3rd year of AE Index Dumbier Awards Hall of Fame inductees. These are creators and titles that have shaped the format and serve as a benchmark of what is possible. This isn't about the story or the artist. It's how the book progressed the AE format. So that's for the book, and then for the person. All right, let's discuss Hall of Fame inductee book of the year. Book of the inductee. Boy, that didn't work out. None of that made any sense. Conan Red Nail's Original Art Archives, Volume 1. I wrote Genesis West knew they had everything needed to release a crowd-pleasing AE format book. Barry Windsor Smith's original art for Red Nails. I mean, how do you go wrong with that? And their take on the format was unlike anything else that had been published. It divided the AE community, breaking with the standards established by IDW and taking its own path. Let me interject there. This absolutely broke with what was expected, the norms. I got this book. First off, I had to pay way more than anything else because it was released through Diamond only, and I don't know what the deal was, but the discount was minuscule. So at the time, I don't know what I paid. I paid $2.80 for this book, Canadian, something like that. It was crazy. I thought, what is this? Is insane. But I get it open, and it's slipcased, gorgeous, right? And then I open it up, and glossy pages, which I wasn't a fan of at the time. And I open it up, and artwork on the right side and nothing on the left side. So we've got all these we got dead pages. Got nothing. Why are all these pages in here? Why is this book so much money? Why did they choose to do glossy pages? All these things weren't like other books from Titan and IDW. Why are they doing this to me? And then, right, you look at the book, though, and then you have to take a step back. Now, through the lens of time, I'm able to take a step back and look at it and say, wait a second, look at these things, what they were doing. again, much like I had said about my favorite book of the year, it's about the book. You've got to separate the price from the book for this category. We've got an introduction by Roy Thomas, an appreciation by George Perez discussing the importance of this work. Then we have afterwards by Jose Villaruba, Andrew Stephen, Michael Thibodeau, right? They are presenting this gorgeous Barry Windsor Smith artwork, right? And it's on the right side only. And it's glossy pages, and those inks just pop. It's so bright. And the black borders, again, emphasize those rich inks. And then we got on the left side, right? Nothing, just blackness. And then a blow up of part of the panel, just a focus. What is there, right? And then this gorgeous presentation that really, really shines and was doing something so unlike what we had seen, right? That it was not appreciated, I don't think, in its time. I mean, the irony was somebody on the forum at San Diego Comic-Con of 2025, right? So this came out in 2013. Let's check the release date because I don't want to... September 2013, this was published. This is a 14 by 19-inch book. It's 132 pages, right? And it was $150 US was the cover price. And like I said, I paid almost double that in Canadian because of the bad discounted diamond, shipping, everything else like that. And this book was still being offered by the publisher Genesis West at San Diego Comic-Con. They were blowing them out. Just 10 years or 12 years sitting around. They just were getting rid of them. They were long not available on the website. You couldn't get them through Diamond. So suddenly, they had signed copies by Roy Thomas. So I reached out to a friend of mine in San Diego and said, please find the Genesis West booth. Get me copies. Get me whatever they got. But when he got there, they were sold out. I have been reaching out, trying to find anybody from Genesis West. I mean, I think it's 3 creators only who form the company. I would love background on this book. I'd love more information. I've heard rumors and things. Oh, why did they charge so much? Oh, they had other original artwork. But that's got to be separated from the work itself. And that's why I inducted it into the Hall of Fame this year. It was a completely different take on how original artwork could be presented. All right, Creator of the Year. Walter Simonson. When we think of who has progressed the A format, an artist may not immediately come to mind. And that's certainly true. I think of editors, designers, people who actually work on A format books. But Walter Simonson exemplifies how a creator can do just that by having an archive of original art available, and more importantly, to make that artwork available to all publishers. To date, Simon has had 8 A format books created of his work, 2 portfolios, and his art has been included in an additional 6 A format books. As readers, we've been invited into his art files so many times, experiencing these pages as they came off the drawing table. I reached out to Simonson because I was provided his contact information through an editor. Thank you so much. You know who you are. And he was generous enough to record an acceptance video for me, which I think is so wonderful. And this is also a little bit more motivation for me to get my physical plaque award done so that I can send him a copy so that he can, in fact, put it on a shelf. And so the video's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel, so it's a little bit different than other times. And I really like this. And actually, he goes on about what an AE format book is, what the format is, the artist edition format. And I was thinking maybe I may edit this video and use that on my what is an artist edition page, because I think it really presents well. And Walter Simonson is just well spoken and just an amazing job here. All right. So thank you for staying with me to the bitter end here, and we will speak again next month.
Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over. She'll never find a sweet man like me.